I couldn't believe it. The screen stared back at me, taunting me with the empty balance that had become my harsh reality. Just 2 months ago, things were different, brighter. Now, all I could feel was the clench of betrayal wrapping around my heart. Sophia was supposed to be my best friend, practically a sister. We met in college, 2 young women with dreams bigger than the lecture halls could contain. Sophia was charismatic, the kind of person who could light up a room with just a smile. We shared everything from dreams to secrets, believing that trust was the foundation of our friendship. I trusted her implicitly when she talked about her new business venture, a software startup that promised innovation and opportunity. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and she spoke with a certainty that was hard to ignore. "Emma, this is it. This is our chance to be on the ground floor of something huge," she had said one night over drinks, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I was drawn in, imagining the future she painted so vividly. Who wouldn't want to be part of a tech revolution alongside their best friend? Sophia ran through the business plan with practiced ease, projections, potential clients, market gaps, it was all there. I was convinced, certain this was a chance to make our mark. But Sophia's confidence was accompanied by subtle, almost imperceptible red flags that I chose to ignore. She mentioned the steep costs of development but brushed it aside with a wave of her hand, insisting that initial investments would cover it. There were minor discrepancies in her pitches, like the fluctuating figures in her financial projections, and times when she seemed too distracted to answer my follow-up questions directly. I attributed these inconsistencies to her creative mind, always buzzing with ideas. After all, I thought, who doesn't get a little scatterbrained while managing such an ambitious project? It wasn't until I noticed the changes in her demeanor that I began to worry. The text messages that used to come in a flurry were reduced to sporadic responses. Whenever I tried to discuss the project's progress, she would expertly steer the conversation elsewhere, always with a charming laugh that dismissed my concerns as unwarranted worry. My gut whispered warnings, but my heart, a heart that believed in our shared dreams, suppressed them. The devastating moment of truth arrived on a chilly Wednesday morning. I attempted to log into the project's shared dashboard to review our latest updates, but my access was denied. Panic surged through me like a tidal wave. I immediately went to our usual coffee spot, hoping to find Sophia and sort out what must have been a misunderstanding. She wasn't there. I called, texted, and emailed her, but my efforts were met with silence. Desperation clawed at me as I searched for answers, reaching out to mutual acquaintances and anyone who could have seen her recently. Each response was the same: Sophia had mentioned taking a brief hiatus to focus on personal matters, leaving no forwarding information. When I finally managed to connect with a colleague who had once worked closely with Sophia, I learned the stark, bitter truth. There was no startup. The software project, the market research, the financial models, it was all an elaborate scheme, carefully crafted to convince me to invest. My heart felt like it was shattering into a million pieces. She had vanished with nearly $50,000 of my savings, money I had set aside for future dreams, now gone in the blink of an eye. The depth of her betrayal was far worse than I had dared to imagine. She hadn't just deceived me, she had ripped apart every thread of trust and affection we had woven over the years. It was a violation so personal, it felt as though she had stolen a piece of my spirit and my identity. The stories people shared were worse too. She had bragged about her successful project, painting herself as a rising entrepreneur in circles I wasn't privy to. The nights that followed were long and restless. I lay awake, replaying every conversation, scrutinizing our years of friendship for clues I had missed. The pain of her treachery was a constant ache, a relentless reminder of my own naivety. How had I allowed myself to be so blind? I was angry, not just at her, but at myself for trusting so easily. But as the days stretched into weeks, a shift began to take place in my mind. I knew I couldn't allow her betrayal to define or destroy me. My initial wounds had started to heal into something more resolute. I decided to fight back, not just for the money, but for myself. It was time to hold Sophia accountable for her actions, and I was determined to see justice served. The plan to uncover her deceit and reclaim what was mine became my new focus. I started by documenting everything, every email, text, and document she had sent me about the fake venture. It was a meticulous process, but necessary for the case I was building against her. I reached out to a lawyer who specialized in fraud, and together, we began piecing together the timeline of Sophia's deception. I also started connecting with others who might have been scammed like me. Online forums and social media became my allies in the search for potential victims, each story adding more weight to the evidence against Sophia. My attorney advised that such collective claims could strengthen our case and bring the matter to the attention of the authorities. Meanwhile, Sophia had resurfaced, flaunting her ill-gotten lifestyle on social media, obliviously painting a target on her back. Every post of lavish dinners, exotic vacations, and expensive clothes fueled my determination. She was so confident in her disappearance, she didn't realize how carelessly she was leaving a trail back to her doorstep. When the day finally came to execute the plan, I was ready. The authorities were briefed and documentation filed, setting the legal wheels in motion. On a crisp morning, I watched from a distance as they approached her under the guise of ordinary investors, armed with enough evidence to confront her. Her expression, caught between confusion and panic, was worth every sleepless night I had endured. The climax of our confrontation unfolded perfectly. Sophia, once so composed and untouchable, was reduced to stammering explanations and pleas for understanding. She attempted to justify her actions with tales of desperation and survival, but she couldn't escape the mountain of evidence against her. The officers executed their duties with precision, ensuring that she was held accountable for every dollar she had stolen. The aftermath was swift and unforgiving. News of her arrest spread quickly, staining her carefully constructed reputation beyond repair. Her social media following, once charmed by her supposed success, turned against her, demanding accountability. The legal process unfolded over months, each hearing chipping away at the web of lies she had spun. The restitution order meant she was obligated to return what she had taken, a slow but certain path to compensation. As for me, the experience transformed me in ways I hadn't anticipated. I found strength in adversity, discovering resilience and determination I never knew I had. Friends rallied around me, reminding me that not all was lost, far from it. I was free from the toxic bonds of a friendship built on deceit and ready to chart my own course. The journey was far from over. My finances were strained, but the promise of restitution provided hope. And with the evidence against her, there was little doubt that justice would eventually be served. I began exploring new opportunities, investing my energy into projects that aligned with my values and passions, with people who had proven their integrity. Last I heard, Sophia's world continued to unravel. Her job offers dwindled, her support network